Oh, yeah, that was Chris Mess with No Good from their latest EP, In Every Disaster. And the band Chris Mess is comprised of is Chris, who writes songs and sings, Brooks, who plays guitar, Steve, who survived the New York City club scene to hold down the bass, and Andy, that plays drums. So with us today live via Zoom is singer-songwriter for Chris Mess, Chris Niccoli. Welcome to Hell Random Mixtape, Chris. How's it going, man?
It's going great, Gabe. What's up? Hello from Seattle, 206 area code to the 212. Let's do this. Love it, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Thanks for doing this too, man. So I was asking you before, are you in proper Seattle right there in the center there?
Proper Seattle, yeah, right in the mix, right in the middle. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You were recently over here in Brooklyn for a minute, right? I'm sorry I missed you in person. What were you out here for? Business or pleasure or both?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. I was doing a little bit of promotional work on the record, every day. I mean, these days we're all our own record label, right? So, right. It's going to the coffee shop and getting busy with promotion, in the morning, and then just goofing off and enjoying the hell out of New York City. We really loved Bushwick and Brooklyn and stuff like that. And it was also a little, I guess, on the business side as well. It was a little bit of a songwriting retreat. I brought my little traveler guitar, and I must have come back with my phone. I probably got 25 new riffs that are going to be on the next record. So, it was productive. It was fun, but man, we really dove deep on New York and just love it. That place is dear to my heart. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back. So now we can chat some more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's talk about this new EP, man. It seems like it's been a long time coming since I believe the last thing released was the self-titled album in 2016? That's
right. Yep. That was self-titled debut. 2016 did pretty well. We got a nice review on Metal Sludge. And then, of course, pandemic happened and we had to kind of figure out what was going on. And me and my engineer kind of had to figure out how to finish the record. And, we learned along the way, right? And there were some times when I was, showing up and isolating myself, coming in the back door to the vocal booth, and we'd never see each other. And I'd listen to playback on phones. And then, of course, we figured out, masking and all kinds of other different things that we can do. And so there was a little bit of delay, but it feels wonderful to have it out. And it's been well received. Really excited. The next one will be much sooner, my friend. I promise you.
Awesome. How would you compare this new EP with the first one, with the first album, actually, the self-titled debut?
Yeah. I think we just took the volume knob at 10 and then we moved it to the proverbial 11. It's more of everything. I think the songs are better. My engineer asked, he was like, the engineer I work with mixed our last record. His name is Brandon Bush. He's one of the best in town here. He records a lot of Northwest artists. He also records the guy who wrote the song Lowrider from War. That guy lives here in town. He's his live engineer. Anyway, Brandon was like, let's do it. Let's do the whole thing. I recorded vocals in my home studio last time. This time he was like, no, let me do it. We used a mix of modern and vocal mics, modern and vintage vocal mics. And every chorus has like five vocals on it. Harmonies, and we really panned them out and fanned them. So every element has a really distinct place to sit in the mix. It's kind of a page out of the Roy Thomas Baker or a Mutt Lange book, really getting those big old harmony stacks on the chorus is just making it pop, So we really kind of focused on the engineering and of course for me on the songs. And I think I think it shows that we're proud of it.
That's awesome, man. We just heard the single No Good from this new EP. Tell me about that track.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme there is keeping an eye on unconscious people and their shenanigans. It's sort of that, man, I see what you're doing there kind of thing. And all of our songs, the Chris Mess way is observational stuff like that, but always infused with humor, not unlike, for example, The Darkness or something like that. I suppose we take a page out of that book, Right. Yeah.
It's labeled as the EP mix. Does that mean, is there like a full-length album mix or something coming up, or is it just the way it's been labeled?
That's the way it was labeled. There was it came out briefly as a single beforehand, and it's a different mix. So that's just how it works on the digital platforms. That's the one to listen to, man.
Nice.
That's got all the secret sonic sauce on it. Yeah.
Nice. And later in the mixtape, I'm going to be spinning the track Blink from that.
Oh, love it. Awesome.
Yeah. Tell me about Blink, man. That sounds pretty awesome too.
Blink is a cool concept. My wife, that another new thing with this record, she co-wrote a couple of tracks with me, one of which is Blink. And that's just kind of the idea of working through ego-based statics in relationships. and kind of uses driving as a metaphor for relationship turbulence. And I thought it was some pretty cool wordplay. She contributed to that one as well, and that will be the next video as well. So something I'm quite conscious of is that people listen, of course, with their eyes as well as their ears, and video is king these days. There's a video for that last song, No Good. Y'all can check it out. But there'll be one coming up for Blink. So yeah, well, I'm thrilled. I didn't know I was going to get, 2 for 1 or a BOGO or whatever you want to call it, man. That's awesome, Gabe.
Yeah, I'm trying to I try to play something before the interview, but then kind of like at the end of the day, I kind of try to bookend it.
Love it.
Something from the band too. So people if they miss the interview or whatever, or just give you more stuff, and it's also a great album. Sometimes I wish I can just play the whole friggin' album, but
yeah,
only over
I appreciate it. Yeah, the thing about Blink that I think is I'm really proud of is it's got one of those big stadium choruses to it. Yeah, so again, that was really a focus on this record, really honing the writing and making sure we're delivering a big bang on every chorus. That's important in this genre and anyone really.
Yeah. So. Are you planning on releasing anything else after Blink from this EP?
Yeah. Again, I talked about everybody's their own record label these days. You hear Stevie Rochelle, Metal Sledge talking about that. I'm a one-man show, do it all. As regards to business, that's true. So yeah, we're going to I'm kind of working this record like a label would, So there's going to be one more video and single as well. It's another song that my wife co-wrote with me called Requiem. This is kind of an imagined conversation between Ziggy Stardust and a fan as the glam star contemplates retiring his persona. So it's it's very conceptual, and I'm thinking about a video that's going to maybe echo some of the visuals you saw in the movie Velvet Goldmine, something like that. So a real glam rock thing. It's the first time I've really ever tried to do a ballad. I don't know if it'll reach penultimate hair metal ballad status, which I know you are fond of flagging on your show, but a guy can dream, right? So we're going to give it a shot.
That's awesome.
Try to go for a bass hit at least.
Yeah, man. And speaking of a hit though, like that cover art of this new one, man, I love it, dude. Tell me all about that and the artist.
Thank you for asking. Yeah. So my wife and I are big fans of lesser traveled Eastern Europe. So that album cover is a pretty stunning, unusual image. Yeah. That is from Sabile, Latvia. And it's an enormous sculpture park. And you walk through there, and my word, you feel like you're inside a Pink Floyd album cover, And I just saw this monolithic TV pod, for lack of a better word. Everybody should, have a look at the image, and pose my wife in front of it. And I just thought it looked really iconic, and it kind of spoke in sort of a nonverbal way to some of the themes that we're talking about on the record, So I just thought it worked out. I'm glad you noticed, man. I'm proud of the photo, but honestly, I just snapped it on my phone. It's just one of those things where I was like, this looks amazing. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to keep it on my phone. And sure enough, I found something to do with it. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's a band I play all the time from Latvia. I think they're called Bloody Heels or something like that. But there's a scene, man. Like Eastern Europe and stuff. They're definitely doing their heavy rock, man. They're going.
Yeah. They love rock and roll all over Eastern Europe. And I remember that Latvian band you played. I took a note on it. I was like, this really rocks. Nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah. So there's a lot of that out there. People love the hard rock in Eastern Europe. Yeah.
Now, this new stuff you were working on in New York, are they, like you were mentioning, are they just the riffs, like you said, or do you actually have like full songs done? Or is there like a concept maybe to what this next one is going to be for you? Or can you say, or do you want
it's a great question. It's a little bit of all of that. I would say they're probably at the riff and musical, sort of song framework stage right now. And I don't know if you watched that documentary Beatles Get Back, man. That just frames how it always goes down, right? You come up, maybe it starts with a riff or whatever. You're basically putting an antenna up and you're receiving, and stuff comes in, right? And then one thing leads to another, and pretty soon you've got, you've got like a song form, and maybe you're batting around some melodies, and then maybe I overhear something in a bar, and then there's my hook. Maybe I'm grabbing stuff from wherever it comes to me, right? So, and then my guys, of course, Steve on bass, Andy on drums, Brooks on guitar. I'll do a little drum machine demo, and those guys bring it to life, man. Absolutely. So again, I'm not reinventing any wheels here. If you watch Get Back Beatles, even they do it that way, you know. Yeah, it's tried and true, right? Yeah. Right. So yeah, I've got some good raw material that'll be the next record, and that'll be coming out, way sooner than later. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And you mentioned your band. How'd you meet these guys? Like, are they all the original cast? Like, how did it all come together?
Yeah, that's a great one too. So Andy and I did a little day job stuff together, and it was really one of those classic, just one thing leads to another. Hey, I got a home studio, man. I need somebody to play drums. You want to come over and demo a couple tunes? Great. Oh, I demoed a few more. You want to demo a few? Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, I got enough to play a gig. Would you be into doing that? I was playing guitar. We were a trio at that point. So I started out as a guitarist, but I've been singing forever and writing forever. So eventually I said, I want to outsource the guitar and really be able to get crazy on my wireless microphone and just not be tethered to anything. And man, there's no turning back once you do that. So that's where Brooks came in. He's an amazing guitar player that just, again, brings my ideas to life. And Steve is a real hardened guy that spent a lot of time in New York City and stuff, and just a badass bass player and a college professor by day. Yeah, so some of us have day jobs, so there you go. That's kind of how the band came together. Yeah, once we're a trio, now 4-piece. There's no looking back. There's no laptops on stage. Not that there's anything wrong with that. These guys can play, and when we jump on stage, that's what we do. We lay into it.
That's awesome, man. And you guys, have you guys been doing any live gigs recently since the pandemic is getting a little looser now?
Yeah, absolutely. We did our CD release at we were talking about venues. This place I love. It's close enough that I could actually warm up my voice here in my studio and then drive to the gig. And I actually have done that before. It's called the Blue Moon. It's one of Seattle's oldest bars. Tom Robbins has been there, the writer. It's really was kind of a countercultural joint in the 70s, but now it's a dive bar with a killer sound system and a great light rig, and it's cool. You can on my Facebook you can see some footage from the CD, the EP release. And yeah, we're playing around. Another venue we play pretty regularly is Daryl's Tavern. It's called their little tagline is Daryl's Tavern, where your dad used to drink. And my word, my dad did used to drink there. Actually, wow. That's how old school it is. And again, it's a dive bar with an amazing infrastructure for bands, right? With a killer sound system and light rig. So yeah, we're playing. We got another show coming up at a place called Lucky Liquor, and then we're doing a festival for another radio station out East Coast, August 13th, south of Seattle in a place called Shelton. So yeah, live gigs are waking up, and it feels great. We're just having a ball doing it again, so let's hope it holds and everything stays cool,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And about music, what did you grow up listening to? And is it the same nowadays, or is it totally opposite?
Yeah, wow. Well, as you alluded in my bio, I really kind of grew up with a mix of the big hit stuff you hear on AM radio and stuff, right? And I can remember hearing, Fox on the Run by The Sweet, and I love The Sweet. The Sweet are so foundational. You can talk to Nikki Sixx or the guys in Def Leppard, they'll go The Sweet, big old stacks of harmonies, huge choruses. It's amazing music. It's some of my favorite. We cover one of their tunes. Frampton Comes Alive, I think was the first vinyl album I ever bought. Nice. Then again, deep cuts on FM radio and stuff. That got me in all the usual suspects, Zeppelin and stuff. Then gigging in Hollywood, I was watching guys like, Gilby Clarke play with his local band at the time, which was called Kill for Thrills. I saw Jizzy Pearl play, and, with Love Hate in the early days. Dizzy Reed, the keyboard player from Guns N' Roses, had a band called The Wild. I was watching these guys, wow. and the common thread among when I'm just talking to all these people is like, well, what do you like? What do you like? I like Ziggy era Bowie, T-Rex, Sweet, Queen, and so like that was kind of the undercurrent. So I really like a little bit later in life just deep dove on that stuff, and so that just kind of all goes into a blender. And ultimately what comes out, and any writer will tell you this, is you, right? There's foundation in the things that you've soaked up and listened to, but ultimately it comes out as your own art. And so that's maybe a little bit about what's been inside my head and what's going on now. But I love all kinds of stuff. I like indie rock as well. I remember the first time I heard your show queue up, I was like just bopping to Radio Free Brooklyn. I was enjoying some indie rock, and then all of a sudden I hear this whammy bar dive coming through a Marshall stack, and I'm like, I'm not moving at all. I'm keeping these headphones on. I'm going to stop what I'm doing, and that's how I found you, Gabe.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's great.
Yeah, I was like, I'm here. I'm all in. Let's go.
Nice, dude. And how about your bandmates? You guys have all similar styles in music, taste in music?
Yeah, pretty similar. I like to, I don't know if I say like to, I have probably converted my guys to that wheelhouse I just talked you through. Right. My drummer is a certifiable badass. Predictably, he's a fan of things like Rush, right? And Neil Peart, because you want to listen to a great singer, guitar player, right, drummer. You go to the source. So he's a big Rush guy, and he's got I think a Twitter handle that's maybe one of the biggest Rush fan sort of clearinghouses around. But Steve and Brooks, they're big into all my influences as well. It was just kind of a nice meeting of the minds where we found out we had a lot in common.
That's awesome, man. So where is the best place that people can find you guys and your music and maybe merch and stuff while they can't see you live yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we do have a live show coming up July 16th at Lucky Liquor out here in the West Coast. But best place, I would say you could chris-mess.com. That collects everything. I've even got my social media feed, just goes right down the side of that site. All the links are there, everything. But just given the way things are today, I know people are really into videos. We're on youtube.com/chrismessrocks, CHRISMESS rocks. All our videos are there. We're very video oriented. They're all super fantastical. That they're designed to hopefully explode your brain, or at least entertain, or both. And then I guess lastly, hey, everybody's all about the gram these days. So yes, we're on Instagram, and I post a lot of creative photos there and reels. It's been fun to put music from the EP up there on reels, so people can get a little snippet and just hear the hook, hear the chorus, and get an idea what we're all about. So that's in a nutshell where to find us. Yes.
That's awesome, man. Well, it seems to be all the time we have. Is there anything I failed to ask you or mention that you would like the listeners to know before we go?
No, I think you did a really great job. I would just say to the listeners that the marketing tagline we're using for this one is, hey, while the songs came out of the dark vibe of the times, they are infused with dive bar sized jello shots of rock and roll elation. And you know what? I couldn't have said it any better than that myself. And I did say it myself. That's it, man. There's darkness, there's light, but ultimately there's joy. And here comes summer, right? This stuff sounds good in your car loud. So
nice,
I would leave you with that.
Nice. Summer. Yeah. Any Memorial Day plans for you today?
There's an outdoor festival going on down at the Seattle Center. My wife and I might just hop light rail and just go trip around town a little bit. It's not raining right now, knock wood. So, I think we're going to get out there.
That's cool, man. Well, Chris, man, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and the band Chris Mess more. Dude, let's keep in touch and do this again sometime, man.
Absolutely, Gabe. Super grateful. You've got a perpetual listener in me, man. And I really appreciate the opportunity to chat and air a few tunes. So big ups to you, man. Thanks. Devil horn salute.
Oh, thanks, man. Keep rocking. I appreciate you. And we'll talk together soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Gabe.
Thanks, Chris.